of really like, what am I wired to do well? What do I do well? And if I enjoy that, I can then be of service and help people, and then you can get paid and grow and have confidence and satisfaction and also helping people. So
he walked away from a law career, and instead of starting over, he built a business helping hundreds of other unhappy lawyers do the exact same thing. Today's guest turned his own escape plan into a $500,000 coaching platform, and he did it without a single ad. Welcome back to The Root of All Success. I'm your host, the real Jason Duncan. This is episode number 349, and my guest is Casey Berman, an entrepreneur, a speaker, and the founder of Leave Law Behind. Casey is a former attorney who left legal practice over 2 decades ago, and he eventually built a nationally recognized coaching platform that helps unhappy lawyers transition into careers that they actually love. So Leave Law Behind has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the Atlantic, the Guardian, among others. And Casey has helped hundreds of attorneys break free from burnout and self-doubt and find non-legal careers that align with their strengths, their values, and frankly, their lives. He splits his time between Maui and his hometown of San Francisco with his wife and 2 kids. Today he's coming from Maui. So Casey, welcome to The Root of All Success.
Oh, thanks for having me. Really, really honored to be here and excited about this conversation. So thank you and appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're here. This is going to be a great conversation because as we were talking pre-show, while you work with lawyers who are burnt out and don't think this is the right thing, and they're dealing with doubts about things, I work with just general entrepreneurs about the same thing. And of course, I have a couple of lawyers. I think I told you in our mastermind, but you are specifically helping lawyers leave law, which sounds, I guess, on the surface would sound pretty simple until you realize how deeply the legal profession is tied with the person's identity. So why do you believe it makes it so hard for an attorney to admit that they want out?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, I want to make this conversation as actionable as possible. So this can help people who are attorneys want to leave the law. This can help people who in your audience who aren't attorneys but still want to leave their job. But also, I really hope there's a lot of nuggets here for people who are entrepreneurs starting businesses that I really want to get into. So I want to keep that in mind. But really, what makes it so difficult is there's fears, there's blockers, there's obstacles, there's doubts, all of that, which everybody has, particularly with lawyers and also a lot of professionals and ambitious people in type A.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
I was just got off the phone with someone who is not very happy in her job, but a number of what we call the usual suspects have come up, which is when will I get the return on investment? I put all this time into law school. I put all this time into student loans. When will I want to get my ROI before I leave the law. What will my parents think? How will I do a non-law resume? How will I do all of this? And so there's a lot of fears and blockers that prevent lawyers from leaving law. Some of them you'll see in other people who across kind of all audiences, but many of them are particular to kind of these really high striving people like lawyers. And what we do is really help them overcome those blockers and fears intellectually and also viscerally. But that's really the first step, is getting those fears and blockers out on paper so they can kind of see them and we work through them.
And then you yourself, you left law back around, I think, 2004, my research, if I'm remembering that correctly. So take us back to that moment about that decision and what was going on in your life and your career that made you say, man, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this law thing anymore.
Yeah, well, I'm 52. I'm an 80s kid. I went to Cal Berkeley. I'm a California kid, went to Berkeley and go Bears. And then I went to law school in San Francisco, UC Law, San Francisco right now. And, I just didn't, throughout those years in the 90s, I just didn't think critically about it, right? Like I didn't like blood, so I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not a math guy. I won't go engineering. It was all just, well, I guess I'll go to law school. And my friends did it too. My parents were cool with it. And my parents were great, very supportive, but they were like, yeah, this sounds great, right? Our kid wants to be a lawyer. Beautiful. So I just really didn't think critically about it. And nor did a lot of attorneys really think about, is this what I want to do? And then you get smacked with the the real life of being a lawyer. And it doesn't look like LA Law or CSI or all these other law shows out there. It's a lot different. And what it really comes down to for lawyers, and I think for a lot of people who are unhappy in their careers, it's the work. They could go to a small firm, they can go in-house, they can change, whatever, try a different law practice, but they don't like the work. And so when it really hits them, oh my God, this is the work I don't want to do. What we then do is help them understand their skills are transferable and they can move into another line with different work, different stakeholders, things like that. But that was really for me. I just didn't think critically about it.
Yeah. Well, it is a lot of work. I mean, I think non-lawyers look at what they see on television and think, okay, well, they're just showing up to court and they have some suave way of convincing these 12 strangers that their client is innocent, that the other person is guilty. But I don't think it gets too deep into the endless research and reading the case file, the precedent and all that kind of stuff. I it's probably a terrible example of reality, but the TV show Suits, which I thought was, I love that show, but I don't know how much of that was real, but it did show at least some parts of how hard the legal profession actually is.
It's really, really difficult. And I want to first, I'll say, so that lawyers don't get totally mad at me. If you enjoy law, if it aligns with you, please, the world needs good attorneys. Please stay in law, keep doing it. I say it all the time. I'm not here to bash the industry at all. If you enjoy it, you love it, your clients need you, please stay in law. But if you're a lawyer or really anybody who's just not aligned with it, they're just not aligned with the work, not aligned with the industry, look for something else. Ask for help. Look for something else. But the work itself is adversarial. It's obviously litigation is litigious. There's a lot of fighting. Sometimes they're glorified paper pushers. You've got clients that don't really care about it. Hey, I need this yesterday. You're working weekends, you're missing vacations. I could go on and on and on. Besides like frontline, nurses, our soldiers, policemen, EMT, besides those real frontline workers, when it comes to a professional job, lawyers are the ones that have almost as equal amount of stress, just due to the anxiety, the perfectionism that's needed. It takes a real wear and tear on their bodies and their minds.
Yeah. So after leaving law yourself, you went into consulting and operations. You even ran a family investment bank and a fashion company. So how did those experiences shape what eventually became Leave Law Behind?
Yeah. So I don't want to bore everyone with my life story, but I practiced for about 5 years, San Francisco, technology, 2000.com, dogs in the office, gummy bears in the kitchen, all of that. I had the job most lawyers wanted, but for me, it was still very reactive. I just wasn't really being able to be proactive. And so I left. Everyone thought I was crazy. This was back in 2004. It was right before I was getting married. And so what happened is my career services office, as I was doing consulting in kind of 05, 06, 07, understanding my unique genius, kind of just trying to make some money, consulting, doing things. The career services office at my law school, when they had some kids first years or second years who didn't want to be a lawyer, they're like, I don't want to go into a firm. They didn't know what to do with them. So they would send them downtown. Hey, get on the subway, meet Casey downtown, have a cup of coffee. He's an alum. He left the law. So I would have a few coffees with these students. I'm just a graduate a few years before them. And then it hit me. They were asking me about my story, my life. So back then I got a blogger account. I started blogging. I just it's still online, my old blogs. I'm kind of embarrassed by them, but I just started writing about my path. It was like a private journal that I started just put online, and Google picked it up and people started finding me. Hey, you want to coach? I didn't even know what coaching was in 09, 10, 11, 12. Like, what, coach? What are you talking about? Like 49ers coach, football coach? What do you exactly, career coach? But then I just started doing a lot of writing for this website Above the Law. I sort of formulated my steps, my point of view, and it just went from there. It just kind of shows that when something, say you're starting a business or something, when it really comes authentically, kind of from who you are, just get out there. Don't be afraid if it doesn't look good, or don't wait for perfectionism. But the world kind of found me.
So when you were meeting with these students who were unhappy with it, when did you realize that this wasn't just doing somebody a favor? This could actually be a business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I met with someone in about '07, 2007, and then in 2009, they sent me an email out of the blue. I forgot who they were. They sent me an email. I think it went to my spam folder, and they said, Casey, I don't know if you remember me. And they got a job at a tech company in San Francisco. We're making a ton of money, and we're over the moon about it, and said, I don't know if you remember our conversation coffee in May 2007, but I wouldn't have this job without you. I'll never forget those words. And I'm not trying to brag. It just, I'm almost getting tears in my eyes. I remember thinking that, like, what? I, I did what? So that was the moment where I said, huh, wow, I had a real impact, a positive impact on someone. And it was very moving for me. And it also showed, Casey, you got to do a little bit more here. Start acting on it. So
Yeah.
that's where it really started.
So that email said, hey, people would pay me for this type of advice. Is that when that started?
Yeah, I was like, God, I did all that for free. But yeah, that's when it started. And I literally threw a party. A friend of mine said, go. And I threw a dinner in 2009. And I about 25 people. I just kind of sent it out to a bunch of lawyer friends. We got 25 or so people at my dad's office up in North Beach in San Francisco. And near Fisherman's Wharf, we had an office there. And I got 3 clients out of it. Out of those 25, 3 people signed up. I charged $750 for 3 meetings. And one of them, Gabe Rothman, is one of my go-to. I helped him leave the law and move into technology, and I was a rising star in the San Francisco tech space. He's already a star; he's not rising, but so yeah, that's where it went from there. I just kind of started moving forward, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I just started getting out there.
And so that was in what, 2010?
2009, yeah, fall 2009.
All right, so 2009. So then you took that idea, leave law behind, you started the business, and you scaled that to $500,000 in revenue without any heavy advertising. Mostly through, as you said, blogging, free resources, word of mouth. But so in a world that's obsessed with paid ads and funnels, how were you able to work that so organically well?
So I tried Google Ads in 2012, 2013, and I had hired someone on Upwork, really great guy out of New York. He did it well, created, and it just didn't give me the results that I was getting from SEO and I didn't even do formal SEO in 11, 12, 13. I was just writing my blog. I was just getting it all out there. We did formal SEO in 2019. We actually kind of formalized it and got a lot of traffic that way, which is changing now with the AI synopsis, which I can get into later. But I was just writing content regularly back in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then you have word of mouth. And then I got picked up by people wanting to talk to me from the newspaper articles. So obviously that was all pretty much pre-social. But it was really about that. And then you just realize there's a real need. I mean, these people are miserable.
Yeah. And so what does the coaching model actually look like? If a burned out attorney reaches out, they walk through the door, what's the first thing you help them see about themselves?
Yeah, and I'll give it away. Like, I give everything away. So here it is. I'll take you through the steps. Take notes if you want. If you're an unhappy attorney, or if you're someone who's just unhappy in their job. But there's 3 main steps to leaving the law. 1, understand your fears and blockers. Get them out on paper. We want to overcome them fully, or if that's too much, let's just mitigate them. Let's just reduce them so you can at least move forward. Because some people are absolutely paralyzed. I will not leave the law, or I will not leave my job until X happens. Well, X may not happen. We may not know if you're going to make $267,000. We may not know if your dad's going to approve it, but let's still move forward. So the first one is the fears, blockers, obstacles. And people say, well, I can't overcome them. Great. So we'll just reduce them. Just make them a little small. The second one is your unique genius, your skills and strengths. And this is the part I love it, is just, what are you good at? I mean, I really am about, success. That's what your podcast is about, is really, for me, is when you're doing something that you're really good at and can be of service. But I'm a sports fan. So if you think of a scouting report for athletes out there, but we have 3 questions. Are you ready? Ask people to compliment you. What are you good at? What advice do they come to you for besides legal advice? And what have you done, or what do you do for free? You collect all of the traits that people give you. We help you organize them, or organize them yourself. There are jobs looking for those traits. That's your transferable skills. But really, it's about your skills leading to the job, not the other way around, right? Like, I just want to get a job for security. And then, Jason, 10 more seconds. I know I'm talking along here. The third one is, then the third step is getting out there. Informational interviews. Don't apply to monster.com, please, and hope ding and get the resume. It doesn't work that way. Informational interviews. And really what happens is we help people find jobs that really haven't even been posted yet. So overcome your fears, understand what you're good at, and get out there in a real strategic, organic way. Those are the three. That's how the coaching works.
All right, we're going to get back to Casey in just a moment. But first, I want to ask you, Mr. and Mrs. Listener, please follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn. You can find me at The Real Jason Duncan. And then on those platforms, I share daily insights. I share behind the scenes content, practical coaching, and that'll help you as an entrepreneur build your business that sets you free, because I believe that entrepreneurs shouldn't be a slave to their business. So come find me, say hello, go find me on LinkedIn or Instagram at The Real Jason Duncan. And let me know you heard this show, and that'll be cool. Send me a DM. Now for a word from today's sponsor, Dubb. That's spelled D-U-B-B. So if growing your business with personalized video outreach has ever been on your radar, then you need to know about Dubb. Dubb is the ultimate video sales platform that I've personally been using since 2018. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I use it nearly every single day. Dubb makes it so easy to record and send videos that stand out in a crowded inbox. You could set up clickable calls to action with the people who watch your videos. They can instantly book a call. They can reply. They can take the next step, whatever you want them to do. You can actually see if they clicked it, if they watched it, how long they watched it, if they clicked the CTAs, and you get real-time analytics that tell you exactly how your videos are performing, helping you tailor your follow-ups. And let's be real, it helps you close deals faster. So whether you want to boost email engagement, or you want to ramp up your social media presence, or you want to speed up your sales funnel, Dubb has the tools to make that happen without complicated software, without all this lengthy setup crap. If you want to see how Dubb can work for you, all you got to do is go over to therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb. Again, that's spelled D-U-B-B, and learn more. And you can get started today with a discount, and you get 50% off your first 2 months. That's therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb. Thanks to Ruben and Darius and all the guys out there for sponsoring the show. Now, let's get back to the show. So, Casey, you talk a lot about fear being the biggest barrier for lawyers. So I'm interested to know what specific fears show up the most, and how do you help somebody move through those fears instead of just staying stuck in them?
Yeah. So one of the big fears lawyers have, and this is an important question, and I think many people have, whether entrepreneurs or looking for another role, is that I can't do anything else but law. I can't do anything else but X. This is what I'm here to do. This is what my skills are fit for. And we show them, of all the people, that your skills and strengths don't really change. Sure, they're framed in a different way, and you're going to learn new skills and gain new muscles, if you will, in a new job. But when you think about what a lawyer does, analyze, be the adult in the room, put out fires, be air traffic controller, do great research in detail, also tell a story, persuade people. I could go on and on. There's hundreds of skills that lawyers have. Those are needed in other roles. Those are needed in strategy consultant roles. Those are needed in operation roles. So I'll give you an example of an attorney we just left who was a tax attorney for many years. Big brain, super sharp, super smart, analysis. The type of guy who thinks 4 steps ahead of everybody. Love politics, love policy. Well, he went from being a tax attorney, and now he's doing analysis and thought leadership for a think tank that he's completely aligned with from a political standpoint. He works at a think tank. He was a tax attorney. We have millions of those stories. And so I really want to debunk that myth, that fear that, well, I have skills A, B, and C, I can only do job X. It's not the case.
So lawyers, as you were kind of indicating, they're trained to think analytically like the tax guy. They're trained to argue. They're trained to find risk. How did those skills actually become advantages in a non-law career? And then I guess on the other side, how do sometimes those things get in the way?
Well, I'll start with the second question. So the disadvantage is just that they're been trained, and this is great for their clients. Risk mitigation. Hey, we got this coming down the pike. So that is, that is a great skill for lawyers to have. You don't want them to be willy-nilly. Risk mitigation is something lawyers need to have. But when it comes to this same skill that is so great as a lawyer, when it comes to their own career development, it completely gets in the way. They become totally risk averse. They won't change. They won't move forward. They stay stuck. They stay miserable. Now, a lot of these skills then, when you go into another job, you don't need to be where the buck stops. So there's another lawyer that I know who had a will and estate trust practice. He was a comedian on the side. So here he's doing trust and estate work, managing risk, all of that for his clients. But he would do comedy on the side. Obviously an interpersonal guy, fun guy. Well, he moved into planned giving, into fundraising. He worked for 2 universities, and now he's working at he got poached. He got recruited for a major hospital in Northern California. Well, he sits down, he literally has lunch and coffee 5 or 6 times a day, meeting with donors or alums or whoever the case may be. And he's really able to give that advice about how they can do planning if they want to make a donation. But he doesn't have to do the legal work. So he's in a pig and you know what, right? He doesn't have to do it. He loves it, but he also gets to tell jokes, be that personable person. So he gets to have his cake and eat it too. But a lot of the things to look out for, he brings it onto their radar and they feel more educated, but he doesn't have to be the deal killer. He doesn't have to be the risk guy. He brings it up on the radar, but you have your attorneys keep this in mind. They feel great because they got this heads up. He feels great because he looks smart and he's helping them, but he doesn't have to do the legal work. It's a win-win.
That's great. So you emphasize a lot the transferable skills as a cornerstone of the work that you do. So if you had to think about all the skills, what's the skill most lawyers are undervaluing about themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. So transferable skills. Let me define it for everyone so we know what it is. And again, for non-lawyers as well, this is applicable. But the idea is not necessarily that your skills change. Your skills are still there. The muscles are still there, right? Same muscles, same skills. It's more about just translating them, reframing them. So it's in the translation for a job. So if you think of risk mitigation, you think of all the things that a lawyer does, they're thinking about how I apply it in a lawyer job. Well, what I'm saying is that you can apply it elsewhere. You can reframe it. So strategy is huge, is a big job nowadays. Operations is a big job. When you really think about it, a lawyer is a project manager. They're getting trials and cases and deals across the finish line. They got to herd cats and bring young associates and bring all these people together. That is what project management is. They don't think of it that way. But so the idea really is that understanding that it's kind of the same skills, just reframing it in a different way, being very authentic, honest, truthful about it. But I think really what I love about lawyers is you've got a ton of skills. The big thing nowadays, when you think about where we are with AI, where we are with where technology is going, just how fast things are changing, is what I love that the skill that lawyers have is this mix of strategy, just big high level thinking, keeping the eye on the North Star. What is our vision? Why are we even here in the first place? Along with this empathy. And I know it may seem strange, a lawyer with empathy, like they're out there bulldogs, they're being ruthless and just kind of killing the other side. There are many who do that, but there's a human element to being a lawyer. And many lawyers have it. They can read the room, they can get a pulse on people. It's that EQ element. So that high level vision, also with that EQ element, in a world of AI, in a world of humanness is sort of in doubt. That's a phenomenal new skill that I think is really going to rise to the forefront for attorneys looking to transition out.
You know, a lot of people would look at an attorney and think, man, they've made it. They're successful. They're doing great. They make a lot of money. So what do you say to somebody on the outside who can't understand, why would a lawyer want to leave in the first place?
Yeah. First thing is they don't make that much money. If you Google median lawyer average salary, it's some are in the 80s and 90s, and many are in around 150, 140, which was a lot of money when I was growing up. But nowadays, particularly in bigger cities, that doesn't go that far. So that's one of the big myths. Lawyers do not make that much money. Second of all, with student debt, even if they do make good money, they have huge debt payments. So yeah, revenue, but look at the expenses, right? So you've got that. I spoke with an attorney who's making $700,000, but I mean, he works 24/7. I'll never forget, there was a woman who we helped leave litigation in Philadelphia to become a trust officer in Delaware at this great bank. She absolutely loves it. I did the math with her. She was thinking, she bills over $100. She's making six figures. We did the math. She was making about $62 an hour pre-tax. Then we did post-tax, and it was low 40s. And hey, no offense to someone who's making $40 an hour, but when you think about this, the debt she had, the expectations in life she had no idea what she was making hourly, what she was bringing home post-tax. She said, forget it. I'm out of here. So money, they don't make that much money. And then the other part is just the suicide rate, the depression rate, the alcoholism rate, the drug abuse rate. It is, as I was mentioning, just being on the front line. Lawyers are on the front line. They have to be perfect, the anxiety. A judge will throw your whole memo out because of a typo. I mean, there are those crazy stories. Many of them are real. And so there's just so much pressure in the job for attorneys who like it and also those who don't necessarily align with it. So their people they're taking a toll on their body. So they don't make that much money and they're hurting.
What's something you used to believe that you don't believe anymore?
I used to believe that everything that happened was a coincidence. I used to believe, and I don't want to get too woo-woo or anything like that, but I used to believe that if something happened, it was just a coincidence. And now I think in life, I've had kids, I'm older, I find more meaning in things. You can find meaning in anything, but I think it's finding more meaning in the day-to-day, and whether it's meaning that other sources bring to me or meaning I create when I see something, instead of thinking as just a coincidence, I view everything as kind of neutral and really finding the meaning in things that can benefit me or just kind of explain things. So that's something newer for me.
Interesting. If you look back at how you've succeeded in this coaching business, and perhaps even as you succeeded in the law business before that, what has been the one key that has unlocked success for you more than anything else?
And I was a pretty good attorney. It didn't align with me, but I was a pretty good attorney, and I saw my path as being kind of general counsel in Silicon Valley and where I could go. But the reason I left, and to answer your question, was what really helps unlock is this idea of sort of self-awareness. And I don't mean it in a woo-woo way. I mean it kind of going to the unique genius element of really like, what am I wired to do well? What do I do well? And if I enjoy that, I can then be of service and help people, and then you can get paid and grow and have confidence and satisfaction and also helping people. So for me, being a lawyer wasn't really connecting with the things I did well. I had to fight. I had to dig into details. I was the, no, you can't do that guy. I wanted to be let's do this guy. I wanted to be more creative. I wanted to go talk to people. I wanted to be on podcasts like this, right? And so for me, success is really that self-awareness about what you're really good at, kind of getting real myopic about that.
So has that been what's unlocked your success? But how do you define it? Like, what does that mean to you personally? What does that word mean?
Yeah. For me, I define success as alignment, as really that being in the zone. So like, it matches who I am. It matches what I do. So and what is the result? Yeah, I'm energized. I love what I'm doing. I mean, I'm on 5.5, 6 hours sleep. I wish I slept more, but I just, I have my bad days. And I got an email this morning, which gave me butterflies in the morning. And I was like, oh no, like my day's starting off wrong. But like, I was looking forward to it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to handle this. I'm going to be able to get this. And so for me, it's that real alignment. It's not the titles, not necessarily revenue. It's that alignment, congruence. I just remember, Tom Brady, he's a California kid. He grew up rooting for my Niners. So I have an affinity for him, but he threaded the needle with this football. And they said, what were you thinking when you threw that touchdown pass? I saw him in an interview and he goes, I wasn't thinking. I was just in the zone. I wasn't thinking. And so we think too much in a way, right? It's just that alignment. When you feel it, you know it. And so for me, that's kind of how I define success.
So, by that definition of alignment, do you consider yourself to be successful?
I do. I do. And I don't know if it's necessarily from other metrics, awards or titles or whatever the case may be. But I saw a quote. I don't know if you remember Snapple, that drink. I used to drink it all the time before I realized how much sugar was in there. But great drink. But they had a little saying under the cap, and it said, your life expands or contracts in relation to the amount of courage you have. And I think, I'm successful because I've had courage. I've been scared, but I've had some courage, and I've just stepped into it, and I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've taken some risks. And I just got back from spring training with my daughter, and took a few days off, went to go see our Giants and San Francisco Giants play. And if I hadn't had the courage to make changes, that sort of freedom and lifestyle I wouldn't have. So I'm really reaping the benefits of kind of courageous decisions I made years ago. So I consider that a success. Yeah.
So, if you think about now that you've kind of you in your career moved from law into entrepreneurship, what is your best piece of advice for entrepreneurs?
I would say don't follow. So let me say the do first. Do something that aligns with you. Yeah, you want to find a pain and you want to need market fit and to help other people and so on. That, of course, but do something that is you, that builds on your unique genius, on your skills and strengths, that comes from you. Don't follow someone else's model. I mean, you spoke kindly about how we built our traffic organically, but I cannot tell you how many times, I won't even mention their names, but there were big gurus out there, and I'm like, well, he built his website that way, I'm going to build it that way. He does this, I'm going to do that. She did it this way, I'm going to do it that way. And I was going down rabbit holes there, and I just realized, look, I'm going to build my business. I'm going to take the good things, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to really follow someone else's model without infusing my own to it. So it's find that market fit, do all that business model stuff, but at the same time, do you. Don't build a business that requires you to kind of be someone else, I would say.
All right.
I would also say, James, I would say, like, your unique genius is an unfair advantage. Let me put it that way. Like, when you really look at, sorry to interrupt, James, but I just want to add, when you really look at your skills and strengths of what you're really good at, that's a real differentiator. It doesn't mean other people aren't like it, but it's a real competitive advantage.
So as we finish up our conversation, I want to go into some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
You ready for those?
As ready as I can be.
All
You're
right.
scaring me.
First one, best thing about living part-time in Maui.
Besides the weather, everyone is just so nice here. Everyone's just nice and open. There is a real aloha spirit. It really exists.
So the second question, one book that you recommend to every lawyer who is thinking about leaving law.
So some people may laugh at me, and it wasn't the best well-written book, but I got to say, a million years ago, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the distinction between being an employee after tax dollars, right? That just blew my mind. And my father had his own firm, and he was entrepreneurial and worked on his own. And I was a great employee. Climbing the corporate ladder. I was a people pleaser. I could do it all. I'd be great at a company. But I just had this inkling of entrepreneurism and getting out there that I stifled it. Don't get me wrong. But just seeing how that book kind of laid out, I just said, I can't be an employee. Really, I have to do this. So I would definitely, it gives a viewpoint that many lawyers just don't have.
I agree. Great book. Everybody should read it. All right. Last one.
Yeah.
If you could go back and talk to yourself the day that you passed the bar, what are you going to say? What would you say to yourself?
So great question, because I failed the bar the first time in November of November of 99, I think. Failed it, got my results, was horrible, devastated. My life is end. Took it again in February 2020 February 2000, and I passed. So that day in February, when I got my results, or a few months later, I would say, what I would say to myself back then in the year 2000, as I would say, good stuff, way to persevere through this. way to have the grit and that persistence and just to not back down. Keep, this is a must. These are skills you're going to need. And if anything, hey, Casey, you might not have passed the bar to be a lawyer, but you may have passed the bar just to learn how to accomplish something and to have that grit. I would have said something like that now.
Well, Casey, thank you for spending some time with me on The Root of All Success today. People can reach out to you by going to leavelawbehind.com, or they can follow you on LinkedIn at Casey Berman SF. Any other ways that are things that you want to tell people about? Maybe a resource or how to get in touch with you in a better way.
Yeah, email me, Casey, CASEY, at leavelawbehind.com. Send me an email anytime. You can also schedule a call with me directly on our website. One-click button, go to my calendar. But no, I want to extend these ideas. I hope this is helpful. I always want to make any interaction I have actionable and helpful and enjoyable to people. So I'm looking forward to hearing from folks.
Well, congratulations on your success and building a good career around helping people build good careers. So this is, I applaud you for what you're doing, help people getting unstuck and moving from something they have, they've put a lot in. There's a lot of sunk costs there, and helping them see the light that you don't have to just commit to that sunk cost forever. So congrats on all your success.
Jason, thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm honored, flattered to be on the show. What you're doing is great. And I just really thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I hope it was helpful, but thank you for having me.
Well, there you have it. Another successful entrepreneur showing us this unconventional road to entrepreneurship. I mean, there's not many people I've had on the show that were once lawyers and now are helping other people also not be lawyers anymore. That I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody like that. So if you are an attorney, this is somebody you probably want to talk to, unless, as he said, listen, if you're totally aligned, as he said, his definition of success, if you're totally aligned with what we're doing, man, carry on. It's good. We need good lawyers, because goodness knows we got enough bad ones out there, but we need some good ones. We need some good lawyers. And if you're that person, stay in it. And if you're a bad lawyer, you need to get out, go do something else. You're making everybody look bad. But thank you for listening to the show. It's an honor that you take time every week to listen. To watch. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on YouTube. You can watch us any of those places, and we're just glad that you're here. I'm honored that you take time to listen to the show. If you got any feedback for me, please leave it, and just glad you're here. So make sure you tune in again next time when I talk with yet another very successful person about his or her journey to success. Until then, as always, I am your host, The Real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King. See you next time.
Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Feeling burnout from running your business? Uncertain if you're nearing burnout? Take our free 10-question business burnout test at businessburnouttest.com to discover where you stand. With just 10 quick questions, you'll learn how to immediately begin making changes to regain freedom and success. Cut your daily operations time in half. Improve your quality of life and prepare your business for your future exit without losing revenue or profit. Visit businessburnouttest.com now and take the test. Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.